She joins us every week at this time. Laura, thank you very much for wearing, I guess that's green, right?
Well, what does it look like?
I'm
it is like
counting
an
it as
aqua.
Green family.
I see green.
Right,
it's
Elizabeth,
green enough.
I don't like that. Kelly green doesn't look good on me, so I got to go for like the aqua. That's the best I can do.
You look beautiful. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now in Israel. You know, if Benjamin Netanyahu loses, there are a lot of people who are going to blame President Obama, because we've been talking over the last 24 hours about how apparently the State Department funneled $350,000 to a group that is associated with another group that is trying to kick Benjamin Netanyahu out of his job.
Yeah, no love lost, obviously, between the Obama administration and Netanyahu's team. I will say, however, that what's happening in Israel is a bit of a cautionary tale. Given the disparity in incomes, we have a very wealthy upper percentile of income earners in Israel, and as we've been hearing a lot over the last couple of weeks, a lot of despair and frustration in the working class, in the working poor in Israel, and the idea of they're always on a war footing. I would argue they have to be, given the threats to Israel's existence. However, there's a lot of people are getting tired of Netanyahu in that lower and working class population. So I think he has that to deal with, in addition to kind of the other parties trying to make hay of what he did in the United States. But I really don't think that speech is what's going on in Israel. I think it's really the state of the economy in Israel that's at the heart of all this.
Paul Begala, who's over there, essentially said that he's doing the work. He said, believe it or not, the people aren't talking about terror or Iran.
Now
they're talking about housing costs that are up 55%. Let's change gears a little bit and talk about an interview that Barack Obama did not do with Fox. He did with Vice Media, and he actually brought up. They asked him, hey, where did this whole ISIS come from? What is the attraction? And he was quick to point fingers, and we should not be surprised.
ISIL is a direct outgrowth of al-Qaeda in Iraq that grew out of our invasion, which is an example of unintended consequences, which is why we should generally aim before we shoot.
I thought the statute of limitations on blaming Bush ran out about 2 or 3 years ago.
Big blame game here.
It's so immature and it's so unprofessional. It's not becoming of the leader of the free world. 6.5 years into his administration, we're still doing that game? I mean, talk about tired. Come up with some new meme at this point. And we don't know what Iraq would look like today if Saddam were in power. I mean, you could make the argument that we upset the apple cart. I get that argument. And I think as someone who's really concerned, especially about the Iraqi Christians and what's happened to that community, they did live in peace and in relative calm under Saddam. But was that a tenable situation to survive over the next decade? Probably not. But regardless of those arguments, for a sitting president to speak in this manner, it is something you expect of an 8th grader, maybe a 4th grader, not something you expect of a grown man.
Laura, remember when they said, you told him the JV team, he said, well, James Clapper kind of said, didn't give me good intelligence. Now President Bush started a war, yet he ran against Mitt Romney saying he brought peace to Iraq.
Yemen's
Vice
doing well,
his greatest.
Exactly. You know, and if only he had listened in 2007 to President George W. Bush's warning. Listen to this. It gives me chills hearing it every single time. Watch.
To begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we are ready would be dangerous for Iraq, for the region, and for the United States. It would mean surrendering the future of Iraq to al-Qaeda. It would mean we allow the terrorists to establish a safe haven in Iraq to replace the one they lost in Afghanistan.
Bush was right.
Well, I think in retrospect, we hear that, and he predicted the situation correctly. At the same time, we have to remember that Bush had a 27% approval rating in 2007 and 2008. Obama won after that second term, and he said, look, that's my mandate, pull out of Iraq, I'm going. So he didn't really care what Bush said or what some of the experts were saying. His mandate was a political one. He wanted to follow his political instincts, and that's what he did.
I think he won because he reacted better than John McCain when it came to the collapse of the economy. I don't even think Iraq was an issue.
I think it was part of it, Brian. I guess I disagree. I think it was everything. I think people were tired of war. I think people were tired of a bad economy. I think both were a toxic combination. I think the Republicans got hammered as a result. But history will judge.
We keep hearing there's a lot of work to do.